for joining the NES webinar, Analytics for the Business User. My name is Jennifer Ely Carter. I'm with NES and will be hosting today's event. Joining me is Leo Coughlin, Solution Architect with NES. Feel free to reach out to us at this contact information here. Next slide, please. I'd like to give you a brief overview of NES. We are an information management and analytics consulting firm based in Massachusetts, and for the past 36 years, we've been working with customers and helping them leverage their data for greater business benefit. And as you can see, we've received extensive recognition from IBM, and we have competencies all around data. We focus on data solutions. We integrate, design, and support both on-prem and data solutions, as well as cloud-based ones. Next slide, please. I won't go through all of these technical skills, but as you can see, we have skills in a variety of areas, whether it be predictive, data warehousing, BI, cloud, as well as data security solutions to help you secure your data environment. Today's webinar, though, will be specifically focused on the benefits derived from Cognos Analytics and Tableau integration. In the BI space, NES has deep skills in Cognos and was a Cognos partner prior to the IBM acquisition. Our decades worth of experience in data warehousing and analytics helps organizations overcome challenges that are frequently encountered with traditional BI deployments. And many of our Cognos customers that we're working with now have pockets of Tableau throughout their enterprise, and they're looking for ways to marry the two platforms together so that they can coexist in a complementary way. Next slide, please. So today, Leo will cover the business challenges, goals, or business needs, a typical use case of a client, and then go through a demo. We've reserved the last 10 minutes of the webinar today for Q&A. And NES is happy to work with you and support your organization wherever it may be on the analytics maturity curve. And I'll be reaching out to you after this webinar to see how we can help. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you're not familiar with Zoom webinar, please refer to these instructions to see how you can ask questions. But everybody will be muted other than Leo and myself for the duration of the webinar until we get to the Q&A portion. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Leo for an introduction to the tools.
Thank you, Jennifer. Again, my name is Leo Coughlin. I'm a solution architect here for New England Systems, and I spend the majority of time, my time working with our customers in the Cognos and also the Tableau areas. So getting familiar with, with what our customers are doing, and again, what Jennifer was mentioning earlier, one of the questions that people, especially our customers, Cognos customers who have a long history of using Cognos and spend a lot of time and resources, developing their environments and using it as the, quote unquote, single source of the truth. Now, seeing Tableau being introduced in different areas of their businesses, are there ways that we can leverage Cognos inside Tableau? So again, make things a little bit easier for our end users, and hopefully get the most out of obviously their Cognos environments and their Tableau environments also. So today, these are the two environments that we will be working with. The latest version of Tableau, which is 9.3, which just came out a couple weeks ago, and since the majority of folks are still on Cognos 10, we're using 10.2.2 today, Fixpack 4. So again, just so it'll be the same look and feel that you guys are used to if you have Cognos today. Just some of the new features that you'll find, especially on the Tableau side, since it's the newer release. There's a couple of enhancements that I wanted to make you guys aware of that, again, are I think are going to be very useful, very user-friendly. So again, the first thing is there's four main topics that 9.3 is offering, and that's service at a scale, flow, data, fast and easy. So when Tableau is talking about self-service at a scale, a lot of this has to do on the server side. So if you have Tableau server, They've enhanced the search options. So again, allow you guys to find the content and the workbooks much easier. So you don't have to go hunting and pecking, looking for the workbooks that that you need to utilize to make those important business decisions that you need. Also with versioning, so now you can actually go back as the workbooks get updated. Tableau servers is versioning those workbooks, and now you can actually go back and actually find those older workbooks. So if you're on version 4 and whatever was done to it is not working for you, you can actually go out and find version 3 and start utilizing that one instead. As far as content management, there's been a number of enhancements to that also. So again, it allows the power users and the administrator greater control on who's seeing data and who has access to what workbooks. As far as the flow goes, they've kind of redone the ability to publish a data source. So they made it much easier, has a cleaner look and feel with it. Also with their mobile environment, they have a kind of an always on feature with their mobile environment, so you don't have to constantly be logging in and out of your mobile device to access your Tableau environment. The big one is with data. Okay, one thing that people have been asking me a lot is, how do I do a union? Okay, so in Tableau, that was in previous versions, that was not available, but in 9.3, you do now have the ability to do a union between two data sources or two tables in the data grid. So that's a long-awaited feature that they finally released for this. Also, the ability to create groups and bins inside the data grid. So that can be, you can create those bins once and they can be stored in the data source, and you can publish the data source up to the server, and so you don't have to do it every time. Create those bins and groups that we like to do, so we can group our data in the various different groups that we like to see as far as age and amounts sold and so on. We could also now, when we pivot on columns in previous versions, as part of the data cleanup inside the data grid, any of those columns that we used with a pivot, we could not use as a join with another data source. And now that's no longer the case. You can actually utilize those columns that were pivoted as joins to another data source. As far as the fast and easy, again, there's a number of updates to the maps, including a number of different enhancements and additional postal codes and demographics for 2016 have been added inside 9.3. Also, one that I find kind of cool, again, as you're working with this and you have a workbook that has many different worksheets in it, you can actually start color coding those sheets. So make it easier to pinpoint, which sheet are you looking for when you're scanning through the bottom. Again, if you get into 10 or 15 different worksheets, after a while, you get a little confusion, which data you're looking for. Okay? And again, there's a number of additional enhancements as far as forecasting, give you some different options for that. Dealing with high resolution, there's a number of options that have been enhanced it out also. As far as the Cognos goes, again, 10.2 has been out for a little bit, but some people haven't migrated to that yet. So I just wanted to point out real quick a couple new features with that. And one of the cool ones is the ability to create a tab report output inside a Report Studio. So like an HTML report, you can actually create tabs now at the top or the bottom of your HTML page. So it kind of mirrors what you can do inside of Excel. Also, if you're dealing with active reports, one of the concerns with active report was, you'd have to run the entire active report to actually see the output, to see how your formatting looks, how things are aligned. And now you can actually do a live preview, so you don't really have to run the entire active report. And again, the more information you put in there, the more the number of tabs, the number of pages that you put in there. Again, it just takes some time to actually run that and put that active report together. So now you can actually do a preview with that. And there's also some really cool enhancements to Cube Designer and Framework Manager. So again, if you're thinking about going to 10.2.2 there are a couple cool features that are available out there today for you guys. Okay, so getting back to our issues, our business problems that our customers are having today. Again, kind of rehashing what we're talking about. Again, we have folks who've had Cognos for a number of years. Spend a lot of time, a lot of resources, building up their packages, building hundreds of reports for their end users to use. And again, but the businesses are changing now. The business users, their ability to solve problems, is changing. So the enterprise BI world, which Cognos is heavily involved with, has to change also. So we're trying to find different ways that people can, come, catch up to, where the world is taking us, the BI world is taking us, and how do we interact with our data a little bit differently. So again, these are today I'm going to show you a couple little techniques that we're talking with some of our customers and showing them what they can do. Mainly from the business user sense more than the IT sense. So in the IT world, they're the ones who are kind of controlling what's going on. Cognos, we're also more geared. This presentation is more geared to the business user and what they can do inside their Tableau environment to utilize what's available inside their Cognos environment. So again, what we're trying to do is really bridge the gap between the IT world and the business world. Make sure we're trying to get on the same page to solve the business questions that are being thrown out there today, the rapid changes that are happening to our environment. For our end users, we're starting to go back to look at some of the packages that we developed 4, 5, 6 years ago for some of our customers, because their business has completely changed, and the way these packages are structured might not be falling in line with how their business is running today. So again, things are always changing in our BI world. Again, we want to leverage any work that has been done in the past, as far as progressing with some of the new technologies out there, as far as visualizations and data discovery, and really kind of reduce the cost and complexity, for our business users. We don't want to make things too overly complicated. For the business users, we want to give them that information as quick as possible, but again, give them the flexibility to make changes on the fly. Okay, so what we're talking about here, the benefits of trying to work with Cognos and Tableau together. What we're trying to do is leave the data modeling into the hands of the people who know the data best, and that's usually the IT folks who understand the relationships between various tables, various items, various databases, managing security. The business users can really focus on analyzing data within Tableau and not worrying about what source system, what table, what field do I need to bring into my environment to start looking at it. And again, this kind of technique and this thought process that we're talking with our customers about, again, is hopefully we're leveraging the work that they've done in the past. People just don't want to throw away years worth of work to go into a completely different way of analyzing their data, because still a lot of that information that's available inside the enterprise systems is important, is accurate, it's tried and true, so we really want to utilize that also. Again, the rise in Tableau, it's also helped the IT staff, because now we're not asking them to constantly create reports, update fields and filters and calculations and stuff. Again, Tableau can manage that for us also. And again, we're trying to get everything into a single source. Maybe that's the kind of ultimate goal with this. We may or may not get there all the time, but that's really kind of where we would like to head with all this. Okay, so just a bit of a story with one of our customers who's had Cognos for a number of years. And they've recently have gone out and purchased a number of licenses of Tableau Desktop. Okay, in their Cognos environment, which dates back 13, 14 years ago, they have a number of packages using either OLAP or relational models. So they're heavily invested in Transformer. So they have a number of Power Cubes. Each morning they have 600 plus reports that are run and bursted to a number of different end users. Their underlying environment is they have some older legacy, older technology, a lot of point of sale applications. So it's a bit confusing. It's a bit overwhelming for a business user to try to go into, utilize a tool like Tableau and duplicate what is being presented to them inside their Cognos environment. So there's a lot of magic going on, for lack of a better term, inside the Cognos world to actually get this information out there so that end users can visualize it and use it to make those important business decisions. So, what was presented to us is, without spending a huge amount of money, without spending a huge amount of resources, how can we leverage these Cognos models inside Tableau without too much customization? There is a lot of topics going on right now regarding this, so it's kind of cool that people are starting to see the need for further integration between these two products. We've had a number of conversations with Tableau and started working on a few different ideas with this. So it's that's why we have these webinars, to get this information out there and into your hands, so you can start thinking about what's the best way to actually approach this. So that's really why we're presenting this webinar today. Okay. So as I mentioned before, and again, if you've ever worked in Framework Manager, sometimes it is a little bit overwhelming for the business user to see the number of tables that are usually brought into the data source view. Then as modelers, we kind of marry it down till finally we get to creating query subjects and managing the relationships till we finally get that final product that we can put inside the package and publish it out to Cognos Connection, so our end users can start utilizing it. Okay, so really this is kind of our workaround with this, how we can get that information that's in Cognos out to our business users as quick as possible. Okay, so as a business user, there's a couple things we're going to have to ask of our IT staff if they haven't already done that. So the first thing we need the IT staff, the Cognos administrator, to do is set up this little property right here. So this is inside Cognos configuration. It's under the global configuration settings. And what this does is actually picks a location, a file server location where we can actually start to run reports, and they can actually be dropped down onto a folder, either on the Cognos server or on the network drive or whatnot. So we can actually run reports. So again, when you go into Cognos and you're emailing reports out, there will be another option in there that you can actually pick for a file system location. So that's really the first step that we need our end users to do for us. Okay. Then our administrators, again, we'll have to go into Cognos Connection. I'm going to show you this when we go into our demo. We actually need to go in and actually that. So in our dispatcher, which is inside the Cognos administration, we're going to have to kind of specify a subfolder of that root location where we can actually start dropping reports. And again, you can have multiple sub folders inside that root location. So if you want to base it by department or organization, however you would like to do, your Cognos administrators can set that up for you. And then you can also work with maybe your network team to properly set up security for those folders. So again, the reports that do get generated get pushed down onto your network are locked down. So people who are not supposed to see sales or operations information aren't going to see that information either. So a couple steps we need to do with our IT staff. Okay, so why don't we get into this real quick? And again, just kind of walk through what some of our end users are doing right now to utilize Cognos and Tableau together. So again, they can get quickly into Tableau, start building some reports, and we'll show you some techniques of how we can actually tie these together. So again, I'm in my Cognos environment that most of us are probably very familiar with. Okay, so it's got a little Tableau folder down here, and I just have a package just called Tableau up here. And I have a report over here called State Detail. So this is going to kind of be my source report for my my Tableau environment. So I have a package that's connected to many different data sources that I'm going to utilize. Again, I'm used to coming in here using Workspace Advanced, using Report Studio, Query Studio, whatever it might be, so I can actually pull that information together into a single Cognos report, and now kind of utilize some of the steps that we just talked about to now make it available on an ongoing basis for my Tableau environment. So the first thing I do is I'm going to come over to Schedule. So I'll just show you guys. I've got this report scheduled to run Monday through Friday. We're going to run it early in the morning, and I'm going to drop this down as a CSV file. Okay, oops, right there. And then you'll also notice under Delivery here, I have saved to my file system. So if I check on that, you can see I've got a number of different options, whether it's marketing or operations, or I'm just going to drop here in this subfolder called Tableau Source. And then I can, use the existing name, or I can specify a different file name. I could do that right here if I wanted to. And I can make the file names unique by appending a timestamp, or I can apply a timestamp and a sequence number. So again, if you need a little bit more, if you're going to have a number of reports that they can be dropped in the same folder, if you'd like to just make sure they have unique names and unique sequence numbers, again, to make it a little bit easier to actually find those reports. Okay. So again, these reports, we've got them scheduled to run, so they're running every morning, so they'll be updated. So every time I open up my Tableau report, there'll be new fresh data in there for me to utilize. Okay. So again, as I mentioned, we're running that report. We've got it out there. Our end users can actually open it up and utilize that CSV export from Cognos, using those package information to actually pull the report up into Cognos. Okay, so I'm in Tableau right here. Again, as I mentioned, I'm using Tableau 9.3. I'm just going to go to a text file. Okay, and so I ran this report earlier. So here's my network drive where this information is being stored, and I'm just going to hit OK, open. Okay. So it's pulling down, and again, if you're familiar with Tableau, one of the first things that might pop up is to see this new union right here. So this is new. So now, if you need to do a union, to get the results that you're looking for, you have that flexibility. The same with the joins and stuff like that. That's all changed. But so now we can actually pull this unions in here as necessary. Again, a couple other new features inside Tableau. Again, when I come to my data in here, so I got a numeric value right here, I can create groups and bins. So I can do that right here. Instead of doing it at the worksheet level, I can actually do it here inside my data grid. So when I publish this data, if I want to save this data source, I can actually publish it now, and it'll be part of my my dimensions, so I can use it within other workbooks rather easily as I'm going forward with this. Again, we can also create calculations in here. So if I wanted to create a calculation, let's call it average revenue, we can quickly put that together here. So again, we can do a lot of the same kind of data modeling. Again, if you're used to Framework Manager, these are the type of things that we could do in Framework Manager to make them part of our package, which we can do now. We can also do inside of the data grid inside of Tableau. So again, number of different options in here. And you might be wondering why I select a CSV versus other spreadsheet option inside Cognos. One thing I've noticed, maybe you notice it also if you have tried this, is with Cognos, in the other flavors of Excel, they put an extra row in the data, and I just found that Tableau had a little bit of issue trying to pull that in, so that's why I'm using a CSV versus one of the other options with it. So it just kind of makes things easier. It's just the raw data, the way Tableau likes to see the information, so it just makes it a little bit easier. So again, here's my worksheet now. Here's the sources of my my spreadsheet that I pulled in. One of the other reasons also that we like to use this kind of technique, what if my business user, or what if me as the business user, have some additional spreadsheets out there that I would like to incorporate into my my Cognos report. Now I can easily add additional data sources, pull in those spreadsheets, and utilize the joins of the unions right here. So again, if I have some third-party information from the government or the state, or some sort of industry information that I will look and pull in, or something I'm just managing on the side, I can actually pull it all in here and actually put it in as part of my Tableau data source. So again, I can easily merge. Again, I'm taking the stuff out of Cognos. I'm using some third-party data sources, some other stuff that I have in Excel or Access or whatever, and I can actually pull it all together right in here. Okay. So real quick, again, just to show you a couple features inside of Tableau. If you're not familiar with it, it's very user-friendly. It's very easy to get up and running with it. Usually what I'll do when I get started with this, first thing I start to do is create some hierarchies, because I like to do a lot of analysis with this. Okay, so I can actually just kind of grab some options in here. Maybe I'll take region, I'll put it down here. And again, what this does for us, it kind of gives you that drill up and down capability, the ability. So again, we can put this information out there, very summarized at the region level, but if somebody wanted to drill down, they'll have the flexibility of drilling down into whatever environment, whatever level of detail they're looking for. Also with dates, so dates will automatically roll up to the year level, and then again, we can start to drill down accordingly, depending on how we would like to see that information. We have the flexibility of kind of moving around like that. Also, if you wanted to go down to either discrete or continuous data types, you'll have that flexibility also. And one thing I like to do a lot is you can actually kind of format the data as you see fit. So maybe you don't like this kind of layout right here, and there's a series of options in here, but maybe you're not in the mood for one of those. So you know what? You can actually make your own. Again, really one of the cool kind of flexible options that are available inside Tableau that make things very user-friendly for our end users. So again, you have a lot of flexibility as far as that goes. Okay. Now, one thing that our end users like to use is, again, kind of the mapping capabilities, which is a very powerful feature that's inside of Tableau. So again, real easy. All I need to do is click on. I've got a state or province right here. I've got some sales information right here. And if you notice this little globe right here, that's just basically your indicator you're dealing with a geographical data source. So I can actually quickly put up a little map that shows the United States right here. Okay. And again, you can get into some really cool stuff. So I can actually make a dual map right here. So maybe I'll decide in the second map I want to show sales. Maybe I'm going to bring over city. And I'll bring over this average revenue that we created. So I'm going to put that in color. Okay. And then I could change the color scheme also. So again, make it a little bit brighter, make it a little bit easier to see, less transparent. We'll put a border around each one of those, again, make it stand out a little bit more. Okay. And then we can actually bring them back together with the dual axis. So now I've got a single map that's showing my, sales for state. And then when I hover over a city, it's going to show me my average revenue. Okay. So again, some real kind of cool little features that Tableau offers very easily. You can take that, again, I'm just showing you that real quick flexibility to take that information out of Cognos. Cognos unfortunately doesn't have the best mapping capabilities out of the box. You can actually utilize that quickly inside of Cognos to put some information up in a map format that's rather user-friendly. Okay, so again, you have a lot of options with this. Okay, so let's do this. Let's kind of make this rather simple. Okay, let's just create a real quick dashboard. Okay, so in Tableau, you create worksheets. Let's actually rename this. So we'll say US sales average revenue. Okay. Now we're gonna add a dashboard to this. So a very simple kind of layout right here. Obviously, things that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis are usually a little bit more complicated. But in this scenario, we're going to do something rather simple, just to kind of show you how we can actually link things together. So inside of our dashboard, I can bring over my map, okay, and I'll have a little legend up here, and you'll have some flexibility once it's coming over, whether you want to add a caption, show a title. You want to make it floating, or if you want to remove it, you want to create a filter, depending on any of the data types that are in here. So it's kind of a rather easy kind of fix for us here. Okay. I can also add a web page. Okay. So one of the options is you can add an image, you can add a text block, you can add some either horizontal or vertical kind of alignments for our dashboard. But what I did is I picked our web page right here. Okay. So we did this so we can actually go back to this state metrics report. That's, again, went back into my Cognos environment. So I've got this little report right here. So if I click on it, all I got is a little prompt, and I can go ahead and pick a state, and I'll get some information based off city and the product and categories. And again, we're doing these things in these type of reports in Cognos, all day long. But now I would like to kind of bring this over and maybe incorporate it easily into my map environment. So that's what we're going to kind of work on right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the properties. And again, this is not limited to Cognos. It's truly basically any type of web application that you may have if you have an internal website that you might be using. Inside Cognos, we have this little URL path. So this is basically the path inside Cognos where this is living. So I can actually just copy that, and I can paste it right in here. Okay, and I can hit OK. Now, I don't have single sign-on for this environment because it's my training environment. So if we did have single sign-on turned on, this would automatically log me in to my report. Okay. So I've got, again, I'm showing my report right here. And again, I can come to Massachusetts and I'm seeing the same report that we just saw. Okay, so again, we got two different environments here. We've got the Tableau environment, showing us that the map version, showing us the sales, the total sales for the state. We're looking at the cities to look at the average revenue. And again, we have a report down here that's showing more details, showing the individual products, the categories, what was the quantity new. So this is more even getting down to like the order level, showing the shipping costs for an individual order, and kind of showing some very detailed stuff that we, again, we may not want to put on a kind of build inside of a Tableau dashboard report, because it works just fine inside the Cognos environment. But what I would like to do, I want to marry these two together. So you notice if you played with Tableau enough, you can, when you have a dashboard environment, we can use the various visualizations that we created as filters. So what I want to do is I want to pick on one of these states, and I want this report down here to filter down for it. Okay. So what we're going to need to do is we need to do a little editing of the URL. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to under dashboards. We're going to go to dashboard options. Okay. So this is how we can make and provide some interactivity between our various dashboard objects. Okay, so I'm going to hit Add Action, okay, and I'm going to go to URL. Okay, so again, if you have multiple worksheets in here, they would be listed in here. If you have multiple dashboards, again, you can pick or choose which dashboard you would like to work with. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to say, let's give this a name. We'll call this Cognos Tableau Interaction. Okay, so you need to add a URL to this. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Okay, got a little encoding I have to do in here to my URL. So this is URL. Earlier I copied this over, our URL over into Notepad here, and I need to change it up a little bit. So again, you can see the Cognos URL, so using the Cognos ISAPI. If you're familiar with Cognos, a lot of this is going to look similar. But again, I need to make some changes to this to allow that interactivity to occur between my two environments. Okay. And we're going to do this at the end of our URL. So when I first brought this over, this run prompt right here, okay, was actually set to true. Because in Cognos, obviously, when I go back to the Cognos URL and I click on it, it's going to say, that's why it's showing me that prompt every time I run that report. It's giving me a prompt to pick a different state. Okay, I got made another copy of it. So real quick, I'm just going to show you what has been added to this URL. Okay, one thing you may have noticed is the Cognos toolbar and header are both being shown on my Tableau dashboard. Okay, so if we kind of minimize this stuff real quick, you'll notice I've got the run options. I got the name of the report up here. Okay, if I kind of scroll all the way to the bottom, I've got my run report date, my page down, all this stuff. I don't want to see any of this. Okay, I know it's in Cognos, but more than likely most people know it's coming from Cognos, but I'd like to hide this. It won't show you your login that you logged into the environment or the IBM label, obviously. So we're going to add this little option in here. So this little encoding right here, that's going to remove those toolbars and headers from our Cognos report when it's being shown inside the Tableau dashboard. Okay. As I mentioned, the second thing is when it's coming from Cognos, this right here is actually set to true. So as I just mentioned, every time we run the report inside of Cognos, we're going to get a prompt to select a different state. Okay. What we also have to do is we have to add this little P underscore. Okay, so when Tableau is looking for this, it's going to require us to have a P underscore. This is actually our prompt. So when you're doing this, when you're inside your Cognos environment, and let me scroll back a little bit here with this. All right. I'm going to need to know what I call that prompt variable. So in this case, I just had it as state. Okay, so that's why it's actually in the URL as just state. So we need to add that little P underscore to it, to make it work. We'll also have to add which column in Tableau am I dealing with here. And that's right here. So this is named differently inside of Cognos. In Cognos, it's just called state. In Tableau, it's called state or province. So I need to change that. Otherwise, you will get an error message because it will not know. We're not really working apples to apples. We're working apples to oranges. Okay. So if we come back here to our encoding, I'm just going to copy all this. I'm going to go into Tableau. I'm going to go back to my actions and add that action again. Okay, so I guess I can save it. So let's go to Cognos and okay. I'm going to paste this in here. Okay, so I got my new encoding in there. So now when I hit OK a couple times, if I pick a state, so if I come here to Nevada, okay, you'll see by default it gives me this hyperlink, which says Cognos and Tableau interaction. So I can click on it, and my state is going to change. So now we got Nevada. I can come over here to California, and it's going to change also. But you know what? I don't really like this. I don't want my end users to click more than it necessary, even though this is kind of working rather nicely. And again, there's nothing wrong with what we did here, but let's change this up a little bit. And again, all we need to do is come back to actions. Okay, we're going to edit this guy, and we're going to say select. Okay, so not give you a hyperlink that you have to select through, but once you click on that particular state, you can actually, you will see the changes happen automatically. So if I come up here to main, I click on main, so I'm getting all that detailed information out of my Cognos report. Okay, so this might be a long-standing Cognos report that's been around for a number of years. There's no reason to really duplicate it again. We can quickly, put that information out there. If I change to Minnesota, you'll see the changes happen, rather quickly. And also you'll notice on this report now, we're not seeing the Cognos headers anymore. We're not seeing the log in, log off, the number of different, the run as options, have been removed. So we're just kind of viewing that information in there. In this case, what I'm, again, we have a good report here. We don't need to duplicate it inside another environment. Why can't I just pull it together? We can actually pull that together. So now as I go through, pick the different states, you'll see those changes happen automatically. So again, rather straightforward. We can also do the reverse. Okay, so if you have a Cognos report that you would like to utilize, you would like to bring in a Tableau dashboard or worksheet, you can actually do the same thing also. So you can actually, what you'll need to do though is actually take that Tableau dashboard or report and actually publish it out to Tableau server. So once you're on Tableau server, then you'll have the option of getting this URL where this dashboard or worksheets or workbook is living, and from there you can actually incorporate it inside the Cognos environment. Also, doing something very similar that we just showed you here. So again, just a couple different this is a very, very, very basic example that I showed you guys today. But again, it just kind of shows you the flexibility, thinking a little bit outside the box, how we can get this information together, from Cognos, from Tableau, allowing us to kind of interact with this, to do a number of different options in here. And kind of just, again, this is all about kind of thinking out of the box. How can we get these two products to work more seamlessly together? Because I think there is a need. There are folks who can greatly benefit from doing this to get these two products a little bit more tied together. So that's really what the whole basic of this this webinar was about. So again, real quick, what we've done here is, again, we're going out into Cognos. We're starting at Cognos, using those data models, those packages that have been around for a number of years, kind of as our source. We're going to create a folder structure that we can actually run schedule reports that can be updated as frequently as necessary. We're going to go into Tableau. We're going to make connections to these spreadsheets. So now we're taking information from a number of different tables, pulling them into a single source. At this point, you have outside third party, you have spreadsheets that you're just working with on your own, access databases or whatever else might be. You can actually bring them together in here. So it makes it rather easily to get this information out there. These could be live connections. These could be extract connections. If you need to add filters or whatnot, you certainly could do that right here based off this spreadsheet, or you could do the filtering inside of Cognos. So again, you have a number of different options with that. You could quickly, use the functionality in Tableau to build, rather quickly some really cool maps that aren't that, easy inside the Cognos world. And again, just using some very basic URL encoding, again, we can link these two guys together. Okay. So really, we'd love to hear your ideas, your thoughts. We're working on, Tableau has a new, previous version came out with a web connector. So we're kind of looking at, how we can utilize that possibly to connect into different data sources and stuff like that. So, right now, if you guys have both tools, you're trying to figure out ways to put these together, we'd love to hear your ideas. Maybe share stories, share ideas, see how we can, because Tableau is very interested in what we come up with. We've had a number of conversations with them, so if you guys have any ideas about this, I would love to pass that on to them, because they're kind of interested in doing this also.
So Leo, I think we should open it up and see if anybody's got any questions, and they can put it into the chat.
So we have a couple minutes here left before our time is up. So again, up at the top there's a little chat window. If you guys have any questions on this, please feel free to.
I will be sending out the deck. I've already gotten a couple emails from customers requesting the deck, so all participants will receive the deck and a link to the recording. And I'd also just like to mention that, NES has a framework that can integrate these two tools together, and as Leo mentioned, in a complementary way to leverage off of the robust, scalable architecture you've already invested with Cognos, as well as marry that with any existing Tableau deployments you have in your enterprise. So we'd be happy to speak with you further.
So, folks, if anyone is interested, we will be making this this video and this presentation available on our YouTube channel. So I will, once I get it up there, I will email it over to Jen, and she can forward it off to you. And then again, as we mentioned before, I'd love to hear anyone's ideas, any thoughts about bringing this together, or maybe even go into more detail what we're doing with some of our customers. Again, today was a very high level, very easy presentation. Again, just to show you some of the functionality that we cover utilizing the two tools together. So I think we will wrap it up here, and I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. Jen, do you have anything else to add?
No, just to echo your comments that we're happy to work with you wherever you may be in bringing these two tools together. And just reach out to me. And as Leo mentioned, I'll be getting everybody a copy of the deck and the link to the recording. And thank you for your time, and thank you for your interest. Have a great day.